up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Behind the Canvas. This is AI. AI stands for all in. Everything that I do, I'm trying to go all in, giving it everything that I have, whatever avenues, spaces, whatever areas in my life that I can go, I'm going to go all in. The Bible tells us to give it all we got. So that's what I'm trying to do. Really, I like to be, I'm known as the rapper with a camera. I'd like to be known as such because I love to capture stories behind the lens. I love to just really showcase stories through photography and film, not only with the camera but also with the pen. So when I write, a lot of you may have listened to a lot of songs, a lot of tracks, and I love telling stories. I come from a poetic background, and that's what I'm trying to do with my skill, and also trying to ignite something in someone to just get them to really look at what I look at within my life to be the strength and the purpose, which is God, Christ, just following the biblical principles in my life and doing everything that I can to showcase that. Like, we're here to live as examples of Christ, and that's what I'm trying to do with everything that I do. So sometimes people see you on a platform or see you in a certain light and they think like, man, I wish I could like do the things that they're doing. Like, man, I wish I was rapping, or I wish I was doing poetry or doing these things. And yo, honestly, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your hands find to do it with thy might. You don't necessarily need to be on certain platforms. How are you on your job? How are you in your household? How are you with your wife, your husband, with your kids? How are you showcasing this idea of Christianity through your life? And so, bringing us to this space of Behind the Canvas, I wanted to create this space in order for people to understand me, how I think creatively, but also bringing in other individuals who I feel like are creative and who I think are just dope, and get an opportunity to have that conversation with them, to find out more than just like, oh, this is what I see on social media. There's so much more to individuals. There's so much more than just the posts and pictures and all that fresh stuff. People are doing amazing things. There's a lot of people doing amazing things that I really want to highlight. And so this is Behind the Canvas. This particular space is interview sessions. So I like to pick out, an individual that I feel is dope or I've been watching for a while, and I want to interview them just because I'm curious and I want to ask questions. And the space or the things that we'll talk about it's just these 4 points. Concept, we'll talk about creativity, collaboration, and commitment. And so all of the questions that I have deal with those spaces or those points. Just really quick, for those who don't know, I am also an entrepreneur as a musician, but also as an artist or a photographer within my city and the surrounding area. I have a company called Get Focused Productions, who is behind all of this nice set up and everything and doing live streaming. The idea behind Get Focused Productions is to capture, teach, and give back. I capture through telling stories through the lens, through photography and film. I teach young people, adults, entrepreneurs, companies, educators, how to tell their stories through the lens, and how to utilize digital technology to assist in that. And then I give back by setting aside a portion of what I earn through contracts to invest in the next generation of creatives. I feel like it's important to give back because when I was younger, I was giving back too. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those entities, individuals, mentors, counselors who invested their time, energy, money, and commitment to me. So I chose to use my business to be sort of philanthropic, if you will, to do what it is that I felt was necessary. So enough about me. We're about to bring in Schivonne. For those of you who do not know, for some strange reason, this woman is dope. I've been watching her for a while, and who she is as a mom, a wife. But not only that, she's the VP of God Over Money. She has a huge role in God Over Money. And I really wanted to highlight her because I feel like people need to know that. And people need to understand the backbone, if you will, to what God Over Money is. I know that her and her husband, Bizzle, work really closely together. But I feel like she deserves to be highlighted, and I want to get to know her more, and I want you to get to know her as well. So we're going to bring her in. Schivonne, I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm glad that this opportunity is opened up for people to get to know you. So without further ado, like, let us know who you are, like what you're about. Who is Schivonne Felder?
Schivonne Felder. I am a wife, a mom. Like you said, I guess the VP of God Over Money. It sounds so glamorous.
Right.
But yeah, and I mean that's my life. That's all. That's my life. Mom, wife, and business partner with my husband. And that's it.
Yeah.
Homeschool mom.
Right. Yeah, it's funny, right? Like we have all these different hats that we wear, and then like when people ask, it's like I just do what I do. You know what I mean? Like I just one day at a time, making things happen, making things shake. So, like I said, with the interview sessions, I like to focus on 4 main areas: concept, creativity, collaboration, and commitment. First, we're gonna start off with concept. Like, let's just hop right on in. As we know, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, and how things or people come about to work for His glory. Can you walk us through your perspective of how God Over Money came to be and your role in helping to establish that framework for this movement?
So how it came to be, man, honestly, it was all God. Like me and my husband, we've been together for almost 20 years. 20 years in September.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, so I was there before. I mean, we weren't saved. I was there when he was rapping, doing secular rap, and we both kind of got saved in different places around the same time. So I saw the transition, God really moving in his life and him wanting to turn his life around and wanting to give his gift to God. So that's how God Over Money came to be. I'm sure people heard the story a million times.
Yeah.
About his testimony.
Mm-hmm.
But so when he started, to do Christian hip hop, I was also working. I was working in marketing. I went to school. I had a bachelor in communication studies, and so I did a lot of and I took a lot of marketing courses in school. And so I was marketing for the NBA and the arena concerts here in Houston.
Wow.
So the Houston Rockets, and I was doing marketing for the concerts and like PR, media relations and PR for concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think we told this story in a live bunch before. I had gotten saved. This was like 2008, and I had just gone back over to the concert side, and I was having to promote different concerts that I really wasn't comfortable with promoting anymore, doing marketing for anymore. And so long story short, I ended up quitting the job because they wanted me to do it. I couldn't do it, so I quit the job because I couldn't do it anymore.
Wow.
And around that same time, he started doing Christian hip hop, and he needed all these things, press releases, just all these things, because we're starting from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
We had nothing, and all these things I had skills in because I did it already for that company. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much just took what I knew from there and started helping him wherever he needed me for God Over Money. Mm-hmm. As far as press releases and showing him, writing all his press releases and doing booking and I'm always the one on the phone because I have that business
Mm-hmm.
voice, and he doesn't really like talking on the phone. So then I started doing contracts for him,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just being like the liaison between him and people that would book him. And so like God knew all this already. Like, and I never, even when I was doing when I was in school, I never even thought about working and marketing for the NBA, like working in the concert. The
Right.
job just came, and I was like, hey, it's something I'll apply for. And it wasn't like my dream job.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, I enjoyed it when I first was on the sports side.
Mm-hmm.
But I never, and it was like God just placed me there so that I could get these skills for these particular reasons to move forward
Right.
after I had worked there for maybe 6 years. And I was able to come in and do it for God over money.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's crazy. So who got saved first?
it was honestly like around the same time. Like
Wow.
I would say like we both knew about God. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just didn't, we had a fear of God. Like we
Right.
had family members, like for both our grandmothers grew up in church. Like my mom grew up
And
in
them
church. So
grandmas.
exactly. But I didn't grow up in church to where I didn't, I'm pretty sure I didn't go to church as much as my mom went to church when she was younger. Um, and so we didn't have like a foundation. Like I knew my grandmother went to church. She was a godly woman, praying woman, and same with his grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
But so it wasn't something like we weren't like atheists. Like we just didn't denounce God or anything. So
Right. Right.
had that in us. But this is like around the same time because we were actually living in different states. That's why
Mm.
I said we got saved around the same time in different places. We had a long distance relationship for years, really. Um, so I was like, I don't even know who.
Yeah.
who
So it was about probably like the same time. Yeah.
At the same time, he started going to church there. I was going to church a lot here. And then when he moved back, we actually got baptized at the same time. Though,
Oh, okay.
At the same time, at the same church. Yeah.
Okay. Dope. That's interesting. And then it's like when you were saying you gained all of this education and knowledge about marketing and PR. It's like perfect. Like maybe you were getting set up for this particular situation. Like that's interesting how that works. Being that Bizzle's project is coming out this Friday, in that like that's 10 years, right? Like a 10-year span. Like where were you and Bizzle in life when Messenger 1 dropped?
Messenger 1 dropped. So we had this argument recently on the last live because we had different dates. When did that? I can't even. So I know it was 10 years ago. I'm trying to remember the month because I can't. I think it was before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
We were right. I see him. I'm looking at the live at the same time. I'm trying to see if he'll answer. So it was before we got married that the Messenger 1 dropped. So we were probably getting ready to. If I'm not mistaken, it dropped in January. We were getting married in May.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Something like that, February maybe.
Them dates, the dates will get you in trouble. just like as far as like mindset, like were you nervous about this situation? Like I remember when I heard Bizzle's song where he's coming out, Jay-Z, right, explaining a dude, right, and then I was like, yo, even then I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
yeah.
This is like I could only imagine the type of pressures and the type of drama and everything that may have been surrounding you all. Like from that perspective, like where were you guys at in your mind and your hearts?
Yeah. So I'm trying to even remember, like when it first came out, I don't think he may have been nervous. I'm sure. I don't think I was nervous because it's his thing. But it was just crazy. It was like to see what it was doing and how fast it just moved.
Yeah.
That part, it was crazy. I wasn't like nervous about it. It was just like, wow. And then when you start reading all the comments and getting, then it's like, then you start getting like, oh wow, like, and then you start getting nervous and you start getting angry because you're like, no, that's not what it is. You're trying to defend.
Right? Yeah, right. Like, nah, man.
And I've always been like that. I read stuff, I start reading comments, and I'm like, I want to type something back.
Right.
I'm not even going to do it because then it's a whole other thing after that. But yeah, it was just like, wow. Like, honestly, it was shocking.
Yeah, and everything went so fast. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you like, from your perspective? Because we always hear business perspective, but from your perspective, were you even like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not ready, or were you like, well, it is what it is?
I was kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's just my personality.
Yep.
I guess.
You know, like, that's how we move as women or whatever. Like, hey, this is what it is. I'm gonna shift and pivot however we need to pivot and make moves. Cause before that, like, at that time, you guys didn't have the baby yet, right? You didn't have a child yet. Yeah, so yeah, that had to have been crazy. I already know.
And it was really fast, and things started moving. Like, I guess I really didn't even have time to kind of like stop and take it in or stop and think about what was going on, because he dropped that, and then like people are calling and emailing like, can I get an interview? And I'm just like taking phone calls and like scheduling interviews, scheduling meetings.
Even that right there, like, as far as business wise, like, I'm sure you had to just kind of figure out and how to adjust, and and which brings us into the creativity portion. Like, you got to be creative in this space because you're only one person. Well, you got Biz, but I'm assuming that he's focused on, taking the front end of it, and then you are like that business portion or that business side of it, where it's like, oh shoot, like getting the phone calls and the emails and the requests. Like, how was that? How were you able to be creative in keeping it all together?
It was, if I remember correctly, I just remember it was kind of overwhelming because there was so much. There were so many people wanting to get his view on things. And it was easier then because, like you said, I didn't have kids. Like, I was home anyway. It was just us. So it wasn't too difficult to try to figure out. But it was a lot. It was like, I mean, you got to try to figure out, okay, this person, should he be talking to this person? Like, do they have his best interest? Like, are they gonna like jam him up and like, ask what questions are you asking and stuff like that? I would have to tell them to send me the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because they always want to catch tripped up.
Get you tripped up. Right.
It was crazy.
I bet.
And then for us being so new to this too, and new in the Christian hip hop scene, I didn't really know much about like the different blogs or different websites like Frapvilla and all the things that I know now. Yeah. So it's kind of learning all that, okay, this is a reputable, website or whatever, blog or whatever, So it was a learning process.
All the way through, man. I know you probably got so much knowledge from that time frame. Yeah.
And it's like we were both thrown in it so fast. So it's like you just sink or swim.
Right. You just gotta figure it out. And y'all did. I mean, y'all figured it out. Y'all here through ups and downs or what have you. You made it to where you are now. Staying in this space of creativity, over the years, I've dedicated, myself to capturing stories of mothers and their struggles and fears, joys, and the process, and with the idea of motherhood being an art form. Motherhood, encompasses a lot of different areas and, how it may operate in different situations. In what ways would you consider motherhood as an art?
Oh man, as an art, I mean, you have to be creative.
Yeah, you do.
like you have to figure out, because one, especially as a mother of not as a mother period, but as a mother with multiple kids with different personalities,
Right.
yeah, you have to figure out ways to entertain, figure out ways to discipline, um, especially discipline different personalities, how that your kids love language, um, and I mean all kinds of things. So you have it's an art. You have to be creative. Like you said, it's definitely an art because there's so many ways, so many different ways to mother, so many um, different uh, different personalities in children.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I look at it like, the blank canvas, right? Like my project Blank Canvas, like you have this blank canvas and you're painting, you're using these colors, these tools, these resources that you've learned throughout life and experiences, and you bring it to the table to this child, and you're trying to like help formulate who they may be, and then they clean off that canvas or whatever you taught, and then they take bits and pieces of it and create their own masterpiece. It's just really like motherhood is a seriously beautiful yet challenging journey. You don't know what you have, but all you can do is give it all you have.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the struggles too of motherhood. Like you said, you don't know. All you can do is give it what you have, give it all that you have, and try and do your best at it and raise them in a godly manner, raise them into the men and women that they should be, or that God wants them to be. But you never know. You just have to put those principles in place and put those things into them, and just pray that when they leave you, they'll keep those things with them.
Right.
Because don't know.
You just don't. It's such a nerve-wracking journey, because you have these natural fears, but as a Christian, you also have an understanding that, I have to put it in God's hand. But there's that humanistic aspect that you can't be quiet. Like, yeah, God, I know you got it, but let me try to carry my kids softly. Like, just looking at, like, my son is a preteen right now, and my daughter's a toddler. Two completely different individuals. And a huge stretch. Like, I had my son, I was 21, and then, years later, after I got married and everything, had my daughter. It was like doing it all over again. Parenting all over again in a different format. But yeah, with a preteen, it can be real difficult. Like, I need you to not be that way, because if you continue doing that, it's not going to be good for your future. But understanding that they're going to make their choices,
I'm telling you, like, we're going through this struggle right now, and I have a 9-year-old, and it's just like you trying to drill into them, like, no, I can see this, I can see where this can lead.
Right.
And I don't want you to have to find out the hard way, but sometimes they may have to, and you just have to trust God. Trust God will, when they get there, that God will help them and guide them, and that they'll go to Him.
Right.
When that worry and that.
Oh, there he is. Right.
That worry, it never goes away. Like, it never goes away, and that just wanting to, and that's the struggle. So, like you said, you're like, God, I know you got this, but the struggle with me was letting go.
Right. And I think through, right, exactly, and I believe, like, through motherhood, but parenthood, I've learned, like, all right, I could see, kind of, not fully, I could see God's perspective as He extends grace to us, and how he carries us, and how he could probably be very frustrated with us because we keep doing the same old foolishness. And it's like, trust me, you know. And I think about it when, like, I'm telling my son about something that I know is good for him, but he still chooses to do what he thinks is good for him. And it's like, listen, you got, like, I'm trying to tell you, like, I gave you the blueprint. And then I think of, like, God, like, he probably like, I gave you the blueprint. Follow the blueprint. Like, come on, like, what is wrong with you? Get it together. So I think of it in that sense, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the time, and it's, man. It's crazy because I was having this conversation with some friends today, but yeah, it's like, you see how our relationship with God and our relationship with our children kind of parallel a little bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Right.
check yourself, even with them, you like, you'll be telling them something, or you'll be, that's me.
Right.
With God.
Right. Exactly. It's pretty interesting. What would you say is the most challenging for you, in your perspective, the most challenging situation or experience that you've encountered as a mother, but specifically as a mother who's also an entrepreneur, who's, you know, have these different hats and different responsibilities? What would you say would be like your top maybe 2 challenges or what have you?
Probably like balancing the time, like my time properly. Trying, because like I said, I also homeschool them, so I have to give that its time,
Right.
and having to give work its time, having to give my husband time, like just balancing time is probably the most difficult challenge.
Yeah, that's like,
One, you know, dropping the ball in the area.
right.
And the kids, it's like, you get mom guilt. Like, my son, he'll be like, "Can we play, like, today or yesterday?" He asked me to play Monopoly. Granted, he asked me at the end of the day, and I'm like, "You had all day to ask
Right.
me." Yeah, I was like, "It's bedtime."
Right.
Today too, he got up this morning with it on his mind, and he kept asking me. I said, "Okay, I'll play." And then I had to cook, and we had school. I had to cook, and then I was doing this. So I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna eat real quick. Oh, no, I'm gonna cook." And then luckily my husband was in here recording, so I was able to, in between cooking and my husband recording, because we're gonna go eat. I said, "Well, Dad's not ready to eat yet, so let's go play Monopoly." So it's like trying to balance those things.
Monopoly is a long game too, so
That's
it's an intense game.
Yeah, I'm like, Monopoly, really? That's what my youngest, he's like, he asked him to play. He's like, "No, I don't want to play that game."
That's a commitment. Man.
Finished, so
Right.
I'm like, I can do, it's time.
But yeah, exactly. That's funny because my son did the same thing not too long ago. We just got the Sonic Monopoly. You know, they got different kinds, and that game sat there, and then when it was time for him to do something he didn't want to do, he's talking about he want to play some Monopoly. Like, you had all day. Now it's time for you to go to bed. Now you want to play Monopoly. No, that's like a 4-hour game. Go to bed. It's like, nobody got time.
You know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, like, and then it's funny because they always want to, like, they don't think we don't know. Like, they don't think we understand what's going on. Like, I was the kid. I was a kid at once. Like, stop.
Like our parents would say, "You think I was born yesterday?"
Right. And now we get it. Now we get what they were talking about. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, now I get it. Yeah, they that slick stuff, like do you experience are your kids in that stage of trying to be slick, trying to pull one over on you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Get out of here, bitch. Trying to poke your head in there.
For sure, they definitely can, like, with the manipulation. Like, I'm like, you can't manipulate me. Like, I already know.
Right, man.
I know what you're trying to do. Like, and him especially, he'll do my oldest at bedtime. It's always something. I'm like, oh, so you just started this right now? It's 8 o'clock. You know you gotta be in bed at 8:30. Like that.
Right.
I'm sorry, not today.
Right, especially with and this is kind of touching on one of the questions as far as homeschool is concerned, but I've done, definitely not to the extent that you're doing, but I did homeschool for a stretch when my son was in first grade, and it was beautiful. It was great. But right now, being that he's a lot older and technology is where it is, so most of his work is on the computer. This boy be trying to be slick, like he be on the computer. I know, listen, I'm a techie, so I have every computer that I have, every phone, whatever, it's all linked up to the same stuff. I can see everything that he's doing. So I'm like, oh, Isaac, what you doing? Oh, I'm working on social studies. Oh yeah? And watching a YouTube video at the same time? Like, oh no, I wasn't watching a YouTube video. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. It's like, man, come on. And he knows that, like, I'm this way. Like, I can see everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Just that slick stuff, man.
Yeah. And then I'm like, you can't get over on this.
What's going on? And even if you do for a minute, because sometimes you got me, but it's gonna come back. Like, I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
Always comes to the light.
Yeah, and our kids though, one thing they're good about, I've never they're really honest kids. Like they're really honest to the point where like they will be with their over their grandmother's house or go to their grandmother, and they'll call us like, is it okay if we have candy? Like, or is it okay if we have, like, they won't eat it until they call one of us. They'll be like, no, call my mom, call my dad.
Right, see?
And most kids will be like, okay, like,
right.
Yep.
Like, that's good. That's real good. Because that candy, man.
Right.
I tried to keep my son away from candy. Like, he didn't have candy for the first 2-3 years of his life. But then somebody gave him candy without asking me. I can't stand that. Like, don't give my kids candy. Ask me first. That's courtesy. You don't do that. What if he is allergic? But ever since he had that candy, man, he had a taste of that. He just been a candy fanatic. They need to have like, you know how they have the AA meetings? They need to have Candy Anonymous meetings for these kids, man. It's that real.
Yeah, my youngest, he has like the biggest sweet tooth. He doesn't eat like he doesn't eat meat, so like he won't eat meat. But
my daughter don't either.
I'm like, but you gotta eat. He calls himself a vegetarian. I'm like, but you gotta be a vegetarian and eat vegetables.
Can't eat candy.
He has the biggest sweet tooth. Like
he's a candy-tarian.
Candy takes anything sweet. He just loves it. And so it's just crazy to me. And I have a sweet tooth too, but
yeah,
I'm
me
like
too.
watching it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this little boy loves sweets.
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful journey though. I want to get. I gotta make sure we pay attention to time because I want to give some time to people to ask questions and stuff like that. So I want to move to collaboration. So as someone who has been married going on 10 years as well, this year we're gonna be 10. I understand that marriage is a joint venture. It's a collaboration. What has been a challenge and a success in collaborating with your spouse?
Oh, let's see. What has been a challenge and success? Challenge. I mean, I think we are, as far as success, I think we are a pretty good team. as far as in our marriage. Like we're normally on one accord, and if we're not, he's there. Not that I am always say that he was a communicator, so we learn to get on the same page, and compromise a lot. Um,
He said, "Make him look good." I turned it. Get out of here, dude.
I know, right? Um, challenge as far as the challenge, I think the biggest challenge is just that we've had is in our relationship, not with one another, but just being parents. Like you said, it's difficult just figuring out parenthood, and like disciplining the children,
Right.
and ways of disciplining them. Um, Especially right now, I say that right now because we're going through that right now.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Because as they're getting older, trying to think of different ways to
Right.
discipline them. And
Yeah.
and
That's tough.
yeah,
It's tough, especially like it's really great if um spouses are on one accord
yeah,
with parenting and with disciplinarian styles and stuff like that. Like I know for us we're pretty similar in discipline, but I think I could be more like, not forceful, but like when I step in the room, everybody better get it together. uh, you know, right? Like, when I bring my voice to a certain tone, I ain't playing. Like, I try to have a balance with my kids. They know when I'm being funny and silly, but they know when I'm being serious.
yeah.
And it's been like that's a good point as far as like trying to figure out each other's way we're gonna discipline. And also, as your children get older, discipline styles have to change.
They have to change.
They have
Exactly.
to.
Yeah. So that's difficult, and then also even with his career, another thing, just to travel.
Yeah.
Um, the times when he does, because most of the time I go with him, except for tours. When he goes on tour, I can't travel. He's gone for such a long time. Um, that becomes difficult, being away, away for so long. But thank God, I kind of have a cheat code. I say because my mom is here with us, so. But it's difficult on me, and it's difficult on the kids too.
Yeah. I'm sure it's probably challenging to balance the two situations, especially he's traveling, and then you're at home and the kids are asking questions, and it's just that has to be a lot. And then it's interesting because I'm in a inverted situation, where I'm traveling a lot and my husband is at home with the kids, and I'm like, real talk, for me, in my perspective, it feels a lot different. Like, because I don't know the perspective of a father and a man who has to go out and stuff. But for me, I leave home, I'm thinking like, is my daughter's hair gonna look good? Is she gonna get her hair done right? Is certain things gonna be out of whack or chaotic? But like, I gotta give it to my husband. He does a good job holding it down when I'm gone. But I putting my daughter's hair in a ponytail. I had to teach him. I was like, Josh, you're gonna have to learn how to put my daughter's hair, put her in a ponytail, and just those things. But also, I don't know. It's like, as a mom, it's that guilt you feel when you leave. Like, do you remember leaving your kids for the first time?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't leave our youngest
Overnight.
Our oldest. Yeah, I didn't leave him overnight until he was 11 months. 11 to 12 months. He was 11 months because he was turning a year, and I was petrified. And he was with my mom, and I trust her. Like I
Yeah.
trust her with them for sure. But it was scary. Like I did not want to. I waited as long as I could, and then we were going out of town, so he had to stay. But it was hard.
Yeah.
And to this day, like they still don't just spend the night at anybody's house. Like the
Yeah.
only person's house that they spend the night is my mother-in-law. Like I don't let them.
Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely get it. I grew up in that way where my mom, my adoptive mother, my mom, she, because of whatever experiences she had, she was like, yeah, y'all not spending the night over nobody's house. And then experiences that I've had, I'm like, yeah, y'all not spending the night unless I know though the individuals you're going to be around. I've been to their house, like me and their parents have talked. Like, man, it's nerve-wracking because you want to protect your kids, man. You don't want anything to happen to them that would be damaging to their psyche, to their minds or souls, you know.
And that mom guilt is real, man. I have it still to this day. And we've traveled. They're older, like they're old enough to call me, pick up the phone and call me or whatever, call us. And I still have it, like going out of town. For the days leading up until I leave, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to leave them. Like,
Right.
I need this time, but still, like that mom guilt is real.
It's real. Yeah, so let's jump into the commitment because what we're talking about is touching at this one question that I have. Because earlier on when I first met you, you know, it was an event that we had here in Buffalo. We booked Bizzo to be here, and I met you. And from there, I think I can't remember if you had your children yet, or at least your first. But what I noticed is that earlier on, you would travel to almost every show that Bizzle had. Like that had to be a huge commitment. Walk us through the importance of that type of commitment and the challenges, and you know if you feel like there was successes in that as well.
I think so. The challenge was when I had the kids, leave the kids, but I was leaving with my mom. Like, so it was never that I didn't trust,
Yeah.
you know, her to keep them. It was just that, like, the mom guilt, like, I'm leaving them again. Like, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me. I travel, yeah, and I still do. I travel with him to those places unless he's gone for a long time, like on tour. And I think it works for us. One is it's just wise for like just for our marriage. I think, and also he needs somebody there with him to get him together. Like I gotta keep him going.
Yep, and yeah. And you the best person to kind of keep him focused and
like,
on point.
You got sound check. You got like
Yeah.
And then I do, but I'm there too. I do his merch for him. So I do the merch. I'm at the merch table, and I think he's just more comfortable with me doing it that way. So it just works out.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy traveling anyway, just getting to see different cities, and I enjoy, going to the shows and meeting all the people. So yeah, it just works out. But yeah, the challenge is always leaving the kids. I'm still always nervous about leaving them.
Yeah, I can understand that. Even though like for us, well, in our situation, it's not like Josh is jumping on a plane or anything, because it can be a little bit difficult to have him travel with me in certain circumstances. But if he did, like you said, you have someone that you trust that they can be with, but still it's like, oh man, my babies. My babies, are they okay? And then just hoping that they don't feel like abandoned in a sense, like, oh, you always going. Like I felt a little like that when I went on the tour and talking to my kids at night, and then in different cities the time zones were different, and it's like, oh dang, I missed I miss talking to my kids because the time frame is different. So it was interesting and a lot to adjust to. And I'm used to. I've traveled a lot in different spaces. But with the tour, it was like ongoing. It was ongoing, you know, week to week to week to week. So it was just there's difference in that. So I know that you guys have transitioned from California, like Houston, California, and then you guys went back home. So can you talk about that, the reasoning behind it, which, you know, it looked like you guys had opportunities out there, especially for the boys, because the boys start getting into acting and things like that, which I think is really dope. Talk to us about that. And then the fact that you guys are working on a project in the midst of all of this stuff that's happening. Y'all in a different space. Just a lot going on. Like, just talk to us about that circumstance.
So, like our boys, they've always been interested in business entertainers. Period. So they really started to get interested in acting, and so I met a friend. I met a lady who we kind of connected, and her daughters are in the industry, and she kind of helped me find a manager for them in LA, and so we ended up. She suggested that we go out there for 3 months, and so the kids can kind of get auditions behind their belt, or and get used to auditioning and see if they can book some things. And then she said we'll see where it goes from there. So last September, right before he was going on tour, he actually moved to LA. We moved to LA, and then he left for tour 2 days later. So we were like in this new space, in this new city. We had to leave for like a month. So we moved there. They were able to get an agent, and they were just going on auditions, and they went on several auditions. My youngest actually booked a commercial, which now, because of what's going on, they're not running it. Because it was for Universal Parks and Resorts, and the parks are closed down, so they're not running it now. But that's why we went, kind of get their so into their creativity, their acting career, or whatever.
Right.
And we came back in December because fourth quarter, a lot of things shut down in the entertainment industry, so they weren't really auditioning or doing anything. So we came back home, and then we actually went back out there in February because it's what they call pilot season for all the new shows. And so we went back. They were auditioning, and like the day, it was slow at first. The week that they started going on all these auditions and got called back, all this started.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was like, I think the 15th, they put California on lockdown. I think Elijah was actually scheduled to do something that Sunday. They shut down Friday. And Jeremiah, they both had done an audition for a show on CBS, I think, that they were waiting to hear back from, and everything shut down. So
oh my gosh.
Still shut down. So we ended up leaving LA about a month ago. Yeah, beginning of April. We drove back because we didn't want to take the plane. So now we're here.
Wow. I know it probably feels better to be home anyway, right?
Yeah, it does.
That had been nerve-wracking, I'm sure.
It was. We were like, it was crazy. We were ready to come home because they had lockdown going. We were in an Airbnb, and our home is here. So we're like, gotta check out the house. We just want to be home. We'd rather be quarantined in our own home.
Yep, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah, so we just got on the road and left, and so now everything in Hollywood is shut down anyway. They've been doing a few what they call self-tapes, and so they can do that remotely. So they've just been doing that from home. So I don't know what's gonna happen now. So we'll see. We'll see how it holds. But
So the time is definitely winding down, and I know we're gonna get cut off. You know, IG cut you off at an hour mark. However, what I was gonna do is keep streaming, and if you guys are able to come back in, because I got one more question, and then we're gonna ask you guys. Or matter of fact, I'm gonna stop here. It's 8:54.
Okay.
My last question was dealing with commitment, but we understand that your commitment to a sound home and making sure that your kids are okay. You know, you guys traveling from the space of California to, you know, where you are now.
Yeah.
Makes sense to like your sanity, right? Like you'd rather be at home. It makes sense, you know. Right. It just makes sense. But I'm gonna stop our questions there, and if anybody has any questions, definitely pour those questions in. And if it runs over, we'll still be streaming and just hop back in. So, do we have any questions out there? Now my husband is writing down questions. Shout out to my husband before you cook.
Someone just asked, with the transition from secular.
I see it, yeah. With the transition from secular to CHH, what was it like being in the midst of the secular artists while your life and soul was changing?
At my job, they mean probably, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. Like, I remember going to having to work I think it was Nicki Minaj and I think it was somebody like a pop artist. I can't remember. It was Nicki Minaj and maybe like was it Miley Cyrus? Somebody like that. I don't know, but they had a tour together, whoever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember seeing like all these teenage girls and like young preteen teenage, like 7, 8, 9-year-old girls, listening to these Nicki Minaj songs, and like my heart was like, I couldn't take it.
Right.
I was in disgust of parents that brought them there, and
Right.
I just couldn't. It was hard. Yeah, it was hard being in the midst of that at that time. That's why I ultimately had to end up leaving.
Yeah, it's probably a pull on your heart, and
Exactly.
the conviction and everything is probably weighty. Another question we have: do you ever feel stretched thin time-wise?
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
For sure, and I'm sure every wife and mom does. It doesn't seem like there's ever enough hours in the day. Like
Right.
I feel, and it's crazy because it's like I would do a lot of work and still do like at night. Like I'm at 12 a.m. answering emails. I'm like, people probably think I'm crazy. Like I'm sending emails at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning because
Right.
that's the only time I have. Like after the kids go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sit down and with the laptop in my lap, like, okay,
Right.
now I can do this.
Got the
Now I
time, right? You know,
Yeah.
you can schedule those emails out. You use Gmail.
I do.
You can schedule those emails to send at a certain time.
And so, okay.
When I found that out, I was like, okay, now I'm not gonna look so great. I'll be
Yeah.
scheduling stuff like 8 a.m. instead of 2 a.m.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. As long as you update your Gmail to be at the latest version, you can click the little button on the bottom and send it schedule it out.
Good to know.
Okay, so someone wants to know, do you have any musical abilities?
No.
Listen, y'all don't know, but Schivonne, she is a low-key rapper. She writes all of Bizzle's music. No, I'm kidding. She's the ghost writer.
I know good music. That's about it. I have an ear for music. I can't play an instrument. I can't sing. I can't rap.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Professional.
Okay, we got another question. Did you have to battle doubt and distraction while you grew through that God over money journey?
You have to battle doubt and distraction. Okay. Um, so as far as doubt and distraction regarding the the movement in GOM or his career, I never did. Like honestly, I never did. I still don't. I feel like God always had a plan for him. Like I feel like God always got us. Like I never had any doubt, and still don't.
That's
Honestly.
awesome. Well, that's definitely dope. That's definitely dope, because not many people would have been able to stay strong through this and just keep level-headed. All right, so Josh, you said you had a question?
Yeah.
A follow-up question?
Have you incorporated, basically, how have you incorporated entrepreneurship with your children in some capacity with the homeschooling and being that your kids are very much part of the GOM brand?
Right. So how have you incorporated the entrepreneurship within your boys, being that they're homeschooled and everything, and they're kind of, part of the brand as well?
Yeah. So they're definitely they're interested. Like they see what's going on. Like my oldest, he's like okay, he downloaded a t-shirt graphic app or whatever. He's like making his own shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of let them freely do things like that. They're always thinking of businesses. So we kind of give them tips and explain to them, what this means, what different things mean, so they can be business minded. And he'll try, like he gives them little jobs. My husband gives them little jobs to do, and we've incorporated it in their schooling, in their vocabulary, giving them little vocabulary words to study and know. And they love, like they always got some kind of business they're working on. Like they sold paintings, they sold lemonade, like and we encourage it. We encourage it because it's definitely something that we would encourage them to do as they get older, start their own, be their own boss.
Right, and that's important. Absolutely, that's funny. My son is the same. All the different things he tries to do, it's like, okay, what's next? Like, and then he'll be done with it, and it's like, oh, okay, we're moving on to something else. All right, well, let's make it happen.
Sitting on the refrigerator now, I have a bag with they wanted to start a business making like essential oil air fresheners.
Wow.
Yeah, we went to Walmart, got essential oils. They figured out how to what mixture to make. I brought little spray bottles, and they're always thinking of something.
That's dope. That's dope. Like
where that came from.
That's dope. That's gonna be good for them, and it's exhausting for us, but we know, what fuels us is that, only good can come out of this, like these experiences that they have.
And you don't want to destroy that little, seed they have. Yeah. Sometimes I just gotta draw the line in some places, but for most part, I try to encourage them, and I try to say, okay, we can do this. All right, let's do it. And but yeah, like you said, there's always something.
Something new. Like we didn't even finish the first idea you had.
Right?
But now you're ready to move on, and it's tough because you're trying to teach them how to stay committed to something, and then you have to find out, like you have to figure out, okay, I think it's all right. It's time for us to move on, and also that idea of not pushing them so hard in certain stuff. It's like an ongoing journey of trying to balance yourself with your children.
Yeah.
We'll take one more question. What are strategies you all use to help your kids build their personal relationships with God? I think that's a strong question. That's good.
Yeah, so the number one strategy is just giving them the word. Like we do devotional in the morning as a family, and we've really started that constantly during this quarantine time. It's allowed us to really sit down and have that time. And even before this, I would tell them, like, you got to get your own time in with God. Like you have to learn how to pray for yourself. I'm always going to pray for you, but I need to start now learning how to pray for yourself, like learning how to pray yourself, learning how to go to God and be able to talk to God just for yourself, like I do for you. And so I found a little kids devotional that they can do. So they have that before they turn the TV on in the morning, before they do whatever it is, they wake up, they have to do their devotional, they have to get their prayer in. And just constantly giving them the word and leading by example also. Like they see us in the morning doing our devotion, like I do mine in the morning when I get up before we do it with them. Their dad is in the office doing his. So
that's good.
Leading by example and making sure we tell them like you need to have your own personal relationship with God and praying that they do.
Yeah.
In my own time, like praying that they know how or know that they can go to God, praying that they have a personal relationship with Him, praying that they desire to read His Word, that they desire to follow Him, desire to follow His Word when they get older and are not under our roof, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know that's really good as far as like having specific time to devote to that as a family, and then encouraging them to do it on their own. That's really dope. I know with us, we try to make sure we pray together as a family. And for my son, I give him, like, I'm with the book of Proverbs. There's a proverb chapter for every day of the month, and so I used to read a chapter every day of the month. And so I had my son do the same thing. And what he had to do was read it and then write a scripture that he felt was striking and try to explain it in his own words. So just trying to like find ways to have him try to interpret what the Bible is saying in his own space and create examples, and then we're teaching our daughter Bible scriptures that we feel like is like good, because when they're like 2, 3, they're sponges and they will soak up everything. She learned John 3:16 like that, and then she's learning some other, the Lord's Prayer and just these other scriptures and stuff that we feel like is important. But yeah, it takes, but even that takes a lot of commitment and making sure you're consistent in it, and not feeling bad if you miss a day or whatever. Just get back in there and keep it going,
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, so I don't want to hold you up. It's like 9:10 here at night. So and tomorrow is a whole nother day. So I thank you so much for allowing me to have you on this Behind the Canvas episode, and allowing to kind of give us an insight of who you are as a mom, as a wife, as an entrepreneur. I think you're pretty dope. I think you are definitely a great example of what a woman should be within Christianity and within this genre. I appreciate you and what you do. So definitely looking forward to grow and build with you even more. And yeah, man, thank you. I appreciate it. If you have anything, if you have anything you want to say or share with people before you step off, you can.
Man, I'll let you have my baby for an hour plus. You're welcome.
Get out of here, Bizzle.
No, I thank you. Thanks for having me on your platform. I appreciate you. Like, you say you think I'm dope. Like, I think you're dope.
Aww.
Creative. Like, you got all this. I'm looking at the live and all the graphics and everything, and you rap. Your mom a photographer. Like, I know. I appreciate it. I appreciate
thank you.
Having me. Got me out of my comfort zone. I told you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to Bizzo for sharing you with us. My goodness. All right, sis, you take care, okay?
No, you too. Thank you. Have a good night. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh in the background.
Bye, take care.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Man, that was definitely dope, man. That was a good meeting. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I'm going to stick around for a little bit if you guys have any questions for me. If you want to just like let's sit and think about what this interview just showed us, and what we've learned from what Schivonne has shared. Like, I know for me, I've learned a lot, like, you know, just the grind of a woman and in a position like like she said that she never doubted. Like, that's dope. She never doubted that things she never doubted things when it came to she never doubted that things would be great. Like, she just kept pushing, like, no matter what. Like, I know it probably was difficult in the beginning as far as GOM is concerned, because they didn't really have the know-how, but they grew, developed, and worked together. Like, if they're not like a great example of what it means to be a married couple, rooted and grounded in the faith as Christians, together, working hard, making moves. Man, we didn't even talk about like investments, you know, and beyond just the love that they have for each other, but love in wanting to grow, having a family, and being dedicated and committed to how that family should move. Like, that, all that stuff is super dope. I'm really hoping that this conversation that we had is an encouragement to you all. This like idea of going behind the canvas and getting an idea of who people are behind the photos, the posts, the IG lives, or whatever. Like, just really seeing people for who they really are and being able to grow and learn from them. Like, I think it's definitely dope. And even like the motherhood, like, we could have went on and on about motherhood. It's definitely dope. So let's see. Shout out a couple people that's on here. We have Radical Evangelist. What's up? Sis, you're super supportive, and I so appreciate you. Beautiful soul. Shout out to my hubby for just having my back and being that person in the background who's like, you know, checking out the questions, writing down questions. I appreciate him for doing that. I see my sis Renita in here. Thank you for tuning in. It says Joy, and I hope I'm saying your name right. Last one says Wells. It's hard reading these names sometimes. Like, y'all got some interesting usernames. But thanks for the questions. Appreciate you. Soul tuned in. Vic to Bless. Appreciate you. If you guys have any questions for me, you can definitely ask me. And I'll get to your questions. It says, you guys got me ready to go out here and do my thing. Good. Like, that's what's up. Go out and do your thing. How do you add this overlay on the live? That's a whole process. Like, all of this is a whole process. I have experience in graphic design, and through my company Get Focused Productions, I'm able to like kind of display these things like this and make it look nice and professional, which I think about it. I think it's dope. Not even operating in fear, right? She was not operating in fear at all, and that's interesting because it can get difficult, you know, and the natural feeling of being fearful. But I think it's dope that she said she had no doubts. Okay, we have one. I am a new mom with a 5-month-old, and I've been missing doing my art. I'm a visual artist that specializes in drawing and painting. Watching you has been inspiring me to go further in my dreams. Sis, Kayla, go for it. Go for it. Listen, a lot of times as mothers, as parents, but I can only really speak as a mom because that's what I am and that's my perspective. But a lot of times I feel like us as mothers feel like we have to put what we love to do on hold because we have children. And I say no. I say make it work. It can be difficult, but make it work. Allow your child to see who you are. Don't put art on hold. You show them that their mother is an artist. Like, I'm an artist. Congratulations, you just were born and your mom is an artist. And now this is our life. And being able to showcase to them that portion of who you are is going to expand. It's going to be beneficial for them. Like, yo, I'm a firm believer in just pulling them into who you are. Because if you work for Geico, I mean, they have a mom that worked with Geico. You know, I am not making no shots or nothing. Yo, that's a good job. You make a decent amount of money on that job. But I'm saying, like, all of these other careers, they would have a mom or even a dad that works at 7-Eleven, McDonald's, or janitorial positions or whatever that is. They have a mom who does that or a dad who does that. Well, if you're an artist, they have a parent who's an artist. Like, make that move. Like, find a way. There's times where I have my son down here recording me in a studio. I'll have him sitting, when I would do photography and stuff, my son would come with me, and then I would teach him how to control himself in certain spaces. So I would take him to art galleries, because I love going to art galleries. I can't wait till they open back up. I would go to art galleries, and I was like, I'm not going to allow the fact that I'm a mom to stop me from going to art gallery because I'm afraid that my child is going to act out. No, I'm just going to have to teach him how to be in an art gallery. And so I would take him without a stroller when he was able to walk, and I would tell him, this is how we act when we're in an art gallery. I love looking at paintings on the wall. You can watch me watch that, or you can look at it too. And I would teach him how to be within a space like that. And I would show him the paintings and talk about the paintings and teach him, like, no, you don't run in the halls. No, you can't touch the paintings. Like, it's hard trying to train up a toddler. But he has so much respect for art now, and he knows how to control himself in certain environments. It was difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. It was difficult trying to teach him how to control his body in an art gallery, and not be loud and screaming and falling out. And did he fall out? Yup. And did I feel embarrassed? Yup. But I let him lay right there on the ground. You can't act like this. Get up. Like, this is not how we act in here. And people were looking and all of that. But it is what it is. I got through it. And then as time went on, he got himself together. I was never afraid of having a situation like that. The kid is a toddler, and he's gonna act like a toddler. And so it is what it is. He can learn. I just rambled there, but it's real. Like, be an artist. Be that mom artist. Do it. It says, definitely inspiring to hear these testimonies. Facts, I'm a designer as well. Yeah, so you know the deal, Vic. Buffalo Hip Hop Collective, what's good? Shout out to my 716 family. Thanks for tuning in, Buffalo Hip Hop. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I needed to hear this, sis. Yeah, sis, just stay encouraged. Because I know it can be difficult, because it's like, you have this little tiny being who doesn't really understand, like, how to control themselves. And that's okay. You got to have patience with them and with yourself. And if things don't work out the way you're envisioning it, keep trying. Don't let it stop you. I think that I definitely need to speak more about, like, how I've walked through this journey of being a mother and the skills and things that I learned. I need to share it more with you. Before I leave, I'll share this one. Having an exit plan is going to be very key when dealing with your children. So if you're an artist and you want to go and showcase your work, or if you want to do your artwork in your space, having the prompts, communicating to your child. Your child is 5 months. You in a good situation. Train them up now. Listen, it's never too early to train your child up now. Sit your child in a high chair and show them your art, and show them how you go through this art space. Do art around them. Just do it. And so they'll be familiar with it. It's nothing new. Oh, mom is just doing her thing in her art, or dad is just doing their thing in their artwork. I learned how to prompt my kids, prompt my son. I had to prompt him, Like when I knew, like even the grocery store, I knew that I was going to the grocery store, I would tell my son, guess what? We're going to the grocery store. What toy are you gonna bring to the grocery store? And this is the game we're gonna play. We're gonna play search for the numbers, and the numbers we're gonna look for is 4, 6, and 7. And every time you see a 4, 6, and 7, here's a paper, and you can draw a circle. Like, find ways to get them involved in the process, because you at the grocery store, they want to be all over the place. But there's ways to focus their attention and also educate them at the same time. Yo, I wanted to teach my son how to like not lose his mind when he was younger, how not to lose his mind when he wasn't able to have something he wanted. And the way that I did it, I took him to the grocery store for the specific reason of teaching him this skill. I took him to the grocery store. I found a little toy that he liked. I picked up the toy and put it in his hand. And we rolled around and I said, look at this toy. This is fun. You like it? I said, but this is not ours and I'm going to put it back. And he didn't understand. But when it came time, I said, okay, we're getting ready to be we're going to be putting that toy away. Just letting you know that we're going to put it away. And it's not going to feel good that you got to put it away, but we have to, because we were just looking at it. And then when it came time for me to take that toy and put it back, he was not happy. He was crying. And I said, I understand how you feel. You feel upset because it's something that you wanted. You can't have it. It's not yours. And I'm not getting it for you. It might sound harsh, but after maybe once or twice of doing that, he learned like, oh, okay. Oh, this is something, this is something that I like. I like this, but I'm not going to get it. At least not right now. I'm not in position to get it. All right, put it back. There's no problem. There's no tantrums anymore. I had to go through some tantrums in order to get him to be at a place of like calm. Like, it's nothing. But that takes time, commitment, and patience, yo. You have to prompting your kids is going to be very, very important. But yeah, man, and I do the same with my daughter, yo. And teaching them how to speak and communicate is going to be key as well. Yo, I think I'll talk more about these things as far as motherhood, and by no way am I saying that I'm perfect. I'm just striving towards perfection. I just want to be good at being a mom, so I'm going to try everything that I can, and anything that I learn, I'm going to take it in, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to teach it. And I hope y'all do the same thing. That's the whole purpose here. You know what I mean? All right. So, I'm going to get out of here. I had a great time talking to Schivonne of God Over Money. I hope that you were able to learn something through her journey and what she's done, and her huge role in God Over Money. I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate the questions that were asked. And this is it. Pray, push, persevere. And in everything that you do, you make sure you go all in. All right, I'll see y'all next time.
With missing me. Wow. But what if I move quicker and I get to squeeze? Then I let her see him from a cell when they visit me. That ain't cool. And that one ain't a win, but them other two got the first L starting to look like a W. Think about it. I'm guessing it's the answer to my prayers. Repeat though, in which version was I the hero? I guess the real